number 85.
And
We're going
we are live on Facebook as well.
awesome. We're going to join you in just a second. I am accepting Kim's request. My friend Kim from WindowWorks is going to join us on Instagram any second now. Come on, accept.
Okay.
Oh, there
There
you
we
are.
go.
And as soon as you join, for some reason, I have to move this down,
Oops.
which is great. Okay, and then I'm going to join you. I have to do it bit by bit.
Do you guys hear any echo? Okay.
Request to join. Send request. Accept request. It's like there's 500 steps to making it happen.
There we go.
Ta-da! We get excited every time it works. All right. You guys, thank you for joining us. Are you hearing echo at all?
Yes, I am hearing an echo and a little bit of a delay.
Are you hearing it now?
Still a little bit of an echo.
Still a little bit of an echo. How about now?
It's a little better.
Okay, so we're just going to move on then.
Yes.
Because I've done everything I always do. And some days it works great and sometimes it doesn't. Want to kick us
Okay.
off?
Sure. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. As Vita was saying before, this is episode number 85. We are going to be discussing blackout window treatments. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Kim from WindowWorks. We are located in Livingston, New Jersey. And I am joined with my colleague and good friend, Vita from Vitalia Inc. out of Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
And we hang out here every Friday morning at 9 a.m. So in case you are new here to WTF, welcome and thank you for joining us. It is episode 85. We've been at it for about a year and a half, having a great time every Friday, 9 a.m. Kim and I geek out on all things window treatments. And today, actually, by popular demand, we realized that blackout linings is something that you guys want to know about and hear about. So here we are, happy to oblige.
Okay, this first project was one that we did for, this is actually for JLA Designs. It's marked Orsino Interiors, but that's okay. This is for JLA Designs. It was for a little girl's room, and what their client wanted was a simple room darkening Roman shade. Now, we discussed at length about doing a just traditional Roman shade that waterfalls off the front of the board and the type of light gaps that we were going to get on the sides. This roller shade also functions as a cordless roller shade. So in order for it to move, I have to put it on a 2.5-inch board. That's the projection that you have to use for the cordless control mechanism. So we did have discussions at length that the shade was going to project off the wall about 2.5 inches. So what you get with that is you get this halo effect and this light bleed. So it's not 100% black out. It is more like light dimming. Now it is lined in a blackout liner. And we do cover the pinholes, because when you do make a Roman shade, you do get those pinholes that you see, that the stitching that goes through. So we do cover those so it doesn't look like there's a bunch of pinholes that go through the fabric. Now, we did talk about if the light gaps were going to be too much, about doing a reverse mount where the fabric comes off the back of the board and sits closer to the window molding. And then by proxy, you would see the mechanism, and then you'd have to do a valance flap in the front. The client and the designer, Jody and Rebecca from the JLA team, decided they didn't want the look of the front valance, that they did want it waterfall style, and the client agreed. And they were aware and knew the light gaps that they were going to get on the sides.
Kim, talk to us about the difference between waterfall style and then like reverse roll and the valance. tell us? I mean, I know it's like more of anatomy of a Roman shade, which we
Mhm.
said we were going to do, but just give us a little bit of a 101 so
So,
folks
right,
understand.
this real quick, this particular shade that I'm showing here, this is an example of a waterfall shade. So, with a waterfall shade, it's just like a waterfall. It comes off the front of the board. So, what happens is we install it with L brackets onto the wall, and there, so the L bracket goes onto the wall and onto the head rail. So, we have to make it so that it can clear the molding because this was an outside mount. So you have to make the projection of the board so it clears the molding and the shade can move up and down. And with also the cordless control mechanism, the tube that makes the shade go up, that board needs to be about 2 inches. So imagine if this is your wall, your shade is projecting off the wall about 2 inches. So it comes off the wall about 2 inches or so. So that's why you get those light bleeds because it doesn't sit flush
Flush to the
to
window.
the window. Now, if we were to do the reverse mount or classic, depending on which way your workroom describes it, that means that the fabric comes off of the back of the board. So that means it will sit closer to the molding, and by doing that, then you're exposing the mechanism. So whether it's a cordless mechanism, standard cord lock, the continuous cord loop, that's all going to be visible. And it's not really pretty and you don't really want to see it. So by doing that, we have to put a valance flap over front or some type of top treatment, a cornice or something else so you don't see it. So if the client said, no, I want the look of a Roman shade, but these light gaps are going to be a deal breaker, then we would have had to opt for going for the classic mount so it would sit closer. Now, you would still see light coming through on the side because it's not 100%
Hmm.
blackout. The only way to get that is to do like a 3-layer type of system. But so yeah, so those are the two key differences between a waterfall and a classic
And the
style. And
classic roll. Thank you for that, Kim. I know it sounds complicated, you guys, and it is. It can be. We will do an episode where it is all about Roman shades and specifically the anatomy of Roman shades, how each mechanism works, how we have the Roman shades rolling off of the front of the board versus rolling off of the back of the board. So stay tuned for that episode and definitely join us for that. In the meantime, for now, just know that the closer the Roman shade is to the window, the lesser of a light bleed you will have. The
mm-hmm.
further out from the window a Roman shade is made, the more of a lead like,
light bleed you will
light
have.
bleed you
You
will
will
have.
have. Yep.
Now, what determines how far out from the window a Roman shade is? That determination is made by the projection of the board. How do you know how far to project the board? That determination is made by what kind of lift system you're using.
And the
If you
molding you have that you have to clear.
You're absolutely right. But let me just stick to the lift system for just for the second. The smallest lift system is a cord lock, which is just a cord that you pull that becomes really long when the shade goes all the way up. The largest board you can have is when you have either a motorized shade or
Mm-hmm.
a continuous loop cord, which is about 2.5 to 3 inches. You can get away with 2.5. Sometimes we like using 3. So your board can range anywhere from half an inch, like 3/4 of an inch,
Mm-hmm.
to about 3 inches. With the, for us, kind of like the happy medium is, well, the one that, not happy medium, because there is no happy,
No,
scratch what I said, because you can't just like cut it in half somehow.
no.
But because we use so many cordless lift
Mm-hmm.
systems, because that's what the child safety rules dictate, oftentimes we use the 2.5 inch board.
Mm-hmm.
So those are your like numbers and those are your facts.
Yes, yes. So, and then
Oh,
this is just another view straight on of the shade, so you can see the halo effect. Now, for this window, we you can kind of see at the bottom. We went about 1.5 to 2 inches wider than the actual window molding to help push the light out and help with that light bleed.
And how far down did you take it past the sill or the apron?
About like an inch or so, because they didn't want to cover the apron completely. Again, these are all kinds of questions that we ask and have those and all those little details we like to do beforehand.
Perfect. All right, here is another Roman shade.
Mm.
This was a project that we did here at Battaglia Inc. for a design firm called Hank Design out of Philadelphia. We've done quite a bit of work with them and for them last year, and this was a project in Delaware that they actually
Nice.
brought us in on. This was in the kitchen. And so the reason that I wanted to bring this picture in is to show you that the blackout lining is, of course, mostly appropriate in the bedrooms for the blackout effect. But sometimes it is also okay to use it in other areas too. Let me show you another version of it, another version. This is the same Roman shade, but lifted all the way up. And this is the Roman shade
All the way down.
all the way down. The reason I like using blackout lining on Roman shades in other areas than bedrooms is because Roman shades have a ton of stuff, crap, if you will, in the back of them. There are ribs that are sewn into the lining. There are ladders, which are thin 0.9 millimeter or 0.14 millimeter strings that help it lift up. I have to it's my daughter's birthday, so I have a feeling that my phone is going to be
Oh,
blowing
happy
up.
birthday,
Yes.
Anna!
So I'd had to just decline that call. I think she's gonna call again though. So okay, we have ribs, we have ladders, and we have rings.
Hmm.
Rings get sewn into the lining and into the face fabric, so the ladders can go through them, and they're the ones that guide the shade all the way up. We also have um, these other safety rings for the
Hmm.
child safety, or we have a special tape
Hmm.
that also for child safety. So point is there's a ton of crap that's happening in the back of the Roman shade that I prefer to conceal.
Hmm.
And so when you are not using a blackout lining, when you use just regular lining, sateen or sateen plus or whatever, all that stuff, when the Roman shade is installed against the light, against the window, when the sun beats on it, all this stuff is visible. Or if it's not fully visible, you can see shadow variations. And I
Hmm.
personally don't like that. But this is a very personal preference. Some designers actually have told me that they prefer to see all that
Yes.
stuff. I, it's like the Museum of Modern Art in Paris. You know, all the inside guts is outside, right?
It
So
all, yep.
it's just all about personal preference. But I wanted to point it out in this example where you can use a blackout lining so that you can hide all that stuff behind the shade and just really enjoy the fabric. Now, this particular fabric was solid. That's what this designer went for. But sometimes you have a very pretty pattern, and all this stuff that's happening behind the shade when the light comes on it, it really gets in the way of the pattern. So again, something that Kim and I say all the time. These are all the things to talk about.
Right, exactly. Nicely done.
Okay.
Okay, so this is a project that we did for Orsino Interiors. This is a little girl's room, and what we did here was a inside mount cordless blackout roller shade, and then outside mount we did a light filtering Roman.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to have the best of both worlds because this house is a ranch. So they wanted to be able to have privacy, but then have, a little bit of light control so it wouldn't be as bright in the bedroom. So I wanted to show you here, this is a 2-layer process
Mm-hmm.
of the shade. So this is what the shade looks like when both shades are completely down. So this is what the shade looks like when the Roman is pulled up, and you can see the blackout shade inside mount, and you're getting those light gaps. When
Mm-hmm.
you do and this is it from the side because I wanted everybody to kind of see like this is what it looks like from the side. So you see how far out the top shade has to project out. The roller shade, um, because it was cordless, it also has a bigger projection forward. So these are all the things that you have to kind of keep in mind when you're thinking about doing a two-layer process. And with the roller, we decided to go regular roll so that the fabric sat closer to the glass. But
Mhm.
again, it was like an inside outside mount because there wasn't a true inside mount where you had 2.5 inch clearance there. So you do have this halo effect that happens on the side. The only way to kind of get around that, if it was, we needed absolutely super dark to sleep, is we would have to black outline the Roman shade, and that even that wouldn't have been enough.
Right.
Then we would have to then pop a pair of panels to help with all that light bleed that goes in on the sides.
hmm So, Kim, I think this is a good time to introduce your
Yes.
three-step blackout effect that you guys have at WindowWorks. Do
So,
tell us.
so we talk about when we first meet with clients or designers, and we're discussing the level of blackout that we're trying to achieve. And our top level of blackout is, we joke about it, but it's the truth. We say Las Vegas blackout. Like, I don't want to know what time of day it is. The same way, like when you go into Vegas, it's like a vortex. You walk in the casino and you don't know if it's 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. So to achieve that level of room darkening, that you can just basically, it's like wearing a mask 24/7 over your eyes. Um, that you have to have fully functioning drapes to open and close to help with the bleed, some type of a top treatment, and then some type of another blackout shade underneath as such. So this one's kind of, I would say, like a 1.5,
hmm
because we have 2 layers, but the second layer is in blackout. And the goal here wasn't to have it so pitch dark. It
hmm
was just to have it to help block light, but still it so wasn't as bright. Because you can see how much light comes through that the top part of that Roman
Right.
shade, that
hmm
it would be very bright in this space.
Yeah.
So here the goal wasn't to have Las Vegas dark. It was just, let's diffuse and help block out some of the light.
It's really incredible in my mind to see that you can have a blackout shade on the inside of the window
Mm-hmm.
and then have another shade, albeit not blackout, but still there's another layer, and see this much light coming through.
Yep.
And so I think it's really important for you guys when you do specify blackout treatments, or when the client tells you that they want a blackout effect, that you really have that conversation about what does blackout mean to them, because blackout to one person is not blackout to another person.
Right.
And so you can refer back to Kim's grid of three different layers of blackout, and and really tell them that if they want 100% Las Vegas kind of blackout, that you truly need three different layers. And don't you think that just because you can take a Roman shade over by 1 or 2 or 5 or even 6 whatever inches, I mean 6 is ridiculous, even 5 is ridiculous, but like about 2 or 3 on each side, and you think you're not going to have that light bleed, you will. And,
Now,
and if that's what you promised to the customer, she'll be upset with you.
Now there are ways, because I know there's some people probably watching. They're like, well, you can do shades with side tracks and things like that, and that's like a one layer system. But you also need, with those side tracks, a pretty decent inside mount. And the average home, unfortunately, doesn't have that nice, beefy interior reveal that you need in order to put those side tracks. So it just it's a little frustrating to me when you're looking at um, stock photos from some vendors, and you're like, yeah, you can't see the window, but like, how deep inside mount there? you
Right.
know the average home is
And
what.
there's also light bleed at the top too. You have
Yeah,
to put something
you have to
special on
put
the
the
top too.
fascia, you have to put some kind of a cornice. It's not
Mhm.
vacuum sealed is the point.
Yeah, and it's not all that simple. And
No.
so the only point, you guys, if you remember nothing else, I we what we want the point that we drive home every time in every episode is have all of these conversations with your customers. Don't
Before.
assume before,
Yeah.
always before. Don't assume that your understanding of something is exactly what their understanding of something is, and always use pictures.
Yes. Yes.
The picture is definitely that, picture's worth a thousand
Mhm.
words. It could not be any truer in window treatment world.
Exactly.
All right. This is a really cool picture, by the way, to really see this in the
Yeah.
profile like that. That was really great.
Yep.
Okay, so we've been showing you Roman shades, but here I wanted to show you a picture of blackout curtains, drapery panels. This is what they look like closed, and this is what they look like opened. So a lovely treatment, a lovely door in kind of like a dormer situation, like a larger dormer situation down the shore. This was done for Barbara Straub interior design, and this was not Margate, but some, I can't remember exactly the um, uh, South Jersey shore city, but somewhere down there, and lots of sun, lots of light, lots of reflection from the water. Okay, so in the day, during the day, it looks lovely. You open the curtains, it looks terrific. Everything's great. But let me go back here. In the morning, when you put up even blackout curtains and things that you're going to have that fully blackout effect, think twice, because this is what it looks like in the morning. Now, in this case, they didn't want to have that vampire three-layer blackout thing, and so that's fine. These are the conversations that we
Yeah.
had. But the reason that I wanted to include this picture is to show you what a blackout drapery panel that you think would give you a complete blackout, but this is what it looks like in the morning. You see light bleed at the top through the hardware. You see light bleed a little bit between the panels. Now, that can be mitigated if you like really kind of overlap and close it like that. That's just how this picture was taken.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, if you have a very kind of persnickety customer and who starts giving you may give you a hard time about that, then make sure that your overlap is really large. And then you also have a little bit of the light bleed at the bottom. So unless your drapery panels puddle on the floor and conceal that light gap, you will still have this. So again, going back to Kim's point, if you wanted to have a complete blackout, you need to have a layer at the top, you need to have it on the floor, you need to have multiple layers in order to achieve that total and full complete blackout.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big one. The light bleed that comes over the top of over the rod. That's one that I have to explain all the time, no matter how, unless even when I go flush to the ceiling, even when we do a decorative
Mhm.
ceiling mounted flush traverse rod, you're still going to get light bleeds that pop through.
Right, because there's still a little bit of a gap
Yeah,
between the rod and the
and
curtain
mhm.
drapery panel
Yes,
itself. I call it curtains today. I don't know why.
it's okay. You're allowed. You're allowed.
Um, so yes, it's not like it's attached. I mean, you truly have to have another layer over the rod and over the curtain to minimize and mitigate completely
Yes.
that light bleed altogether. So there you have it, guys.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, we hope that you took a few nuggets from our blackout lining episode number 85. Before we let you go, there are some free goodies that we would like to share. For us here at Window Works, Luann wrote basically a window treatment 101 guide, architectural digest is incoming, 10 things you need to know about custom window treatments. So if you are new to the window treatment market, you bought your first home and you're just like, not really sure how I should treat these windows, or if you're a designer who's just starting out, head on over to the WindowWorks website and download your free copy of our ebook today.
Hmm. And from Vitalia Inc., we also have a gift for you for joining us. It is a curated lookbook filled with inspiration and education. We call it 37 and a half window treatment ideas for you to use, steal, swipe, and utilize immediately in your design project. It is truly filled with all of the projects that we at Vitalia Inc. did, and you can page through it and say, like this, don't like this, may use this sometime, somewhere, and show it to the client and get on the same page. We're talking about using pictures and showing pictures. This is a great resource for you to do just that.
Yes, it is. And to keep up with all things Miss Luann, because she has a lot going on, and to listen to the audio version of our Window Treatment Friday Live, head on over to luannigera.com, where you can see what Luann is up to and also listen to all the episodes that Vita and Luann have recorded on the business of window treatments.
And as a matter of fact, Luann just dropped a new episode today. Luann and I are tackling pricing of window treatments, something that can be quite difficult, quite challenging, quite controversial sometimes. Window treatments are definitely an investment in your home. So there's a lot that can go on into pricing those. So because it's a complicated topic, we're actually breaking it up into three different parts. So we're doing a three-part series on how to price your window treatments. And today we're starting off with some basics, some foundational concepts of margin, markup, and multiplier, how to calculate them, what formulas to use, how they're similar, how they're different, but most importantly, why should you care? Why is it
Mhm.
important to know it, how it affects your life and your business? So definitely check out today's episode. It's a juicy one. The one that the one that you have to sit down and take notes. I have to tell you that. Oh, and that's me again. If you are in the Philadelphia area, please give us a shout. Let us know if you would like support with your window treatments. We are a one-stop shop, your go-to resource for window treatments, your concierge level, white glove type service for window treatments exclusively for interior designers ready to fly first class in the world of window treatments. So give us a call, DM us, PM us. We would love to support you on your next project.
And if you are in the New Jersey and New York area and you have a window treatment project that you don't know how many layers of blackout that you possibly might need, give us a call. We would be happy to help you on that next project. Also, if you are in this area and you are thinking about an awning for your backyard or your business, whether you're a retail client or you're a designer that's helping a client design their back patio, give us a call now, because now is the time to get your awning orders in order to get them for the summertime.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is episode number 85 of Window Treatment Friday, the live edition, where Kim and I hang out here on Instagram and on
Mhm.
Facebook every Friday at 9 a.m. for about half an hour to 45 minutes. We do nothing but banter and geek out on all things window treatments.
All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday.
All right. Have a
Bye.
great weekend. Bye bye, everyone.